to thank you for coming along to this very, very important session this evening. This is our senior cycle information evening for 2023. So can you believe you're already looking at decisions for the future of your son or daughter's senior cycle as we move forward? I'd like to thank Miss Ward, our guidance counsellor, and Miss Fitzgerald Ahern for putting the information together. And as always, I'm supported here this evening by our Deputy Principal, Miss Morrow. So we're going to get going. In terms of this next slide, just so you know what this evening is going to be about. It's going to be about transition year information. We're also going to look at the Leaving Certificate, but in this case, we're looking at the Leaving Certificate Vocational Programme, which is the Leaving Cert and a combination of LCBB link modules. We're going to be taken through that by Miss Ward this evening. We're also going to have a look at Leaving Certificate Applied, and then just to make everybody aware that tomorrow we will release a preference form. So that's Friday the 25th of November, just in case you're watching this as a recording at a later stage. So tomorrow we will release the preference form by text message, and more about that at the end, okay? So I think this is over to Miss Morrow, am I right?
Yeah, I think, well, we're going to start obviously looking at the transition year programme. First of all, we have a lot of third year parents on this evening, so we're going to start by looking at that programme. And I was just going to start with just talking a little bit about some of the benefits of doing TY for the student then continuing on into Leaving Certificate or Leaving Certificate Applied. So what we have found in our own school and in lots of other schools and from research done, TY students moving on to do the traditional Leaving Cert, you know, they get to try a range of different subjects while they're in TY, ones as well that they might not normally get to do in their junior cycle years. And this we find gives them kind of an enhanced ability to make decisions then on their option subjects for senior cycle. You know, it just gives them a bigger range of experiences to think about when they're making their decisions. They also have their work experience placements in TY, and that really will make them more aware of their likes and dislikes when it comes to working life and maybe moving on to college. So like it says in the next point there, it really does help with decision making for further and higher education when they move on post Leaving Cert, whether they're going for a CAO course, a PLC course, an apprenticeship, you know, straight into the working world, whatever it might be. And just a few things then about the TY student moving into the LCA or the Leaving Cert Applied. In TY, we operate a credit-based continuous assessment model, and this is really similar to the assessment model used in LCA. And we talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation, so I won't dwell on it too much. The other thing there is about TY work experience. In our school, we have work experience 1 day a week for our LCA students, similar to what the TY students do during their transition year programme. So they're out for 1 day a week on work experience. And then the other thing is the TY project-based assessments that we do throughout the year are very comparable to the key assignments and the tasks that students will do in LCA. So TY really can be a huge benefit to the student, whether they're moving on to the traditional Leaving Cert or the Leaving Cert Applied. And just one piece of research that I think is really interesting is from the National Council of Curriculum and Assessment. They have found, you know, in the past that on average TY students will achieve an additional 26 CAO points in comparison to students who move straight into their Leaving Certificate year. So it's just interesting just to keep that in mind. And I suppose all those similarities that they have is really helping to boost their points up, and then the maturity as well. So this one I'm going to hand over to Miss Morrow just to talk a little bit about the subjects and modules in TY.
So as you can see there are a lot of different subjects and modules for the students. The curriculum itself will consist of a combination of both. So you'll have core subjects and you'll have modules. The core subjects then, the ones on your left as you're looking at it there, they're going to be timetabled for the entire year. So all students will do them for the whole year. And then the modules will rotate. So the way that that works is that each module will run for 11 weeks and then the students will move on to a different module. And that allows them to get a taste of different subjects throughout the year, and it also means that they're not going to end up for a full year doing a subject that maybe they weren't too interested in doing, so it gives them the opportunity to move on. So there's a great variety there, and for the modules there's no long-term commitment, it's just 11 weeks. For the core subjects, they're all subjects that they'll do as tasters. They're maybe touching on little bits that they might do in Leaving Cert, and then they also get a chance to look at different aspects that are not just strictly exam based. So Audrey is going to come in here and talk a little bit about work experience as well, which is tied in with their timetabled week, and they tend to do that once a week. So Audrey, do you want to take over there?
Yeah, just very briefly, just to let parents and guardians know that, like I said there previously, TY students are out 1 day a week on work experience, and work experience is a core module, a core subject all year long. So at the moment it's every Thursday, and I believe that it's going to continue that every Thursday will be TY work experience day. It's been a huge success so far this year in our school. All of the students were able to obtain work experience placements. Some of them have already done work experience in 3 or more different employment settings, and they're getting huge experience there, you know, what it's like to be out in the real working world. And, you know, they're meeting new people and trying out and developing new skills. And a lot of them are really finding that they're discovering whether this was an area they thought, you know, it was going to be something suitable to them or not. You know, so it is helping them towards decision making for the next placement or what subjects they might choose next year. Just one piece of advice around work experience is, you know, if your son or daughter is thinking of doing TY, I would strongly advise them to start looking for work experience placements as soon as possible. So even by the beginning of the new year, January, February time, I would be saying to them to, you know, get your CVs together and start contacting local businesses, local employers, or family members or neighbours, whoever you can, and try to secure your placement as soon as possible. So that was all I wanted to say about work experience. If I go back to you, Miss Morrow, just about the other areas in TY.
Okay, so we have other areas that they look at throughout the year, and these give them lots of opportunities and experiences. So you can see a sample of some that are there, and we probably do quite a lot more than all of that. These type of things are very much focused on the skills that students would develop for life, and many of them are certified. And students will therefore be able to add these to a portfolio. So by the end of TY year, they have a great portfolio put together. They will have CVs, they'll have reports and research done that'll all be compiled within that report, and that then can become quite significant for them when it comes to applying for colleges and maybe going on to the world of work, or perhaps getting part-time jobs while they are in college or later on in school time. And I suppose now that we've had a very successful TY year this year, it would be a good idea if your son or daughter was in third year to maybe talk to some of the TY students about these areas that they have been getting involved in and what they've found that was interesting about them and what they liked about them. You know, it would give them a broader picture of what to expect from these areas of the TY programme. So if you want to go on there, Audrey?
Yeah, so we're just going to go over to Ms. Fitzgerald now, who's going to talk a little bit about what assessment looks like in TY.
I suppose assessment is just see from the little DS guideline quote there from the document that assessment should be an integral part of the learning process in transition year and not separate from it. And I suppose we have it set up really tight in TY and Grafene, and we have, if you want to click on there, Miss. just how we have the assessment tied in very tightly there. To tie in with that statement in TY, GC will follow a continuous assessment credit-based format. Now, students will be awarded credits for each of the following: portfolio and end-of-year reflection interview, which is, you know, all the time they're gathering certificates and their work, and they're putting together a book, and that'll form a portfolio and part of an interview at the end of the year, which they'll be awarded credits for. There'll be oral and oral assessments, project work and presentation, self-assessment and peer assessment, which is really brilliant, helping them reflect on their own work, written and practical class tests, skill assessments and credits for attendance. For example, this assessment week, November assessments, and the TYs are doing examinations, particularly in their core subjects at the moment in TY, so it's an integral part. Back to you there, Miss.
Thank you. So I'm just going to go to Mr. Kelly now, who's going to talk a little bit about the cost involved in TY.
Thanks, guys. So I suppose if you're a parent and you're wondering, is transition year for my child, I suppose you have to look at the costs. In terms of transition year, the cost will have to go up next year. So this year it was €380. So next academic year, if you're considering putting your son or daughter into transition year, it'll be €450 per student paid up front. And if you ask any of the current transition years, the parents or the students, I'm sure that they'll tell you that that's well worth the money because of the amount of activities that the students get to go on. It's an activity absolutely every week. It pays for the activity and pays for the transport as well. But just to say, to assist parents or to help parents, there will be an option to pay for this in installments. And also just to know that there will be, like this year, an optional extra. So very much we need to stress that. That's an optional extra. And that will be a trip abroad or within Ireland, but hopefully abroad, maybe February and March in 2024. So this year they're going to Paris and visiting Euro Disney. And if parents decide, or if the student decides that they don't want to participate in the international trip, that they can actually work on some extra or additional work experience that they could actually look out for and attain for that week.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kelly. We just have a short video now from a couple of our current TY students to share with you.
Fourth year has really been a big change for my life. I at the start I didn't want to do fourth year, but now I'm into it. I really enjoy it. It has been an amazing experience, and getting to know new people was really good. It's always an adventure every week, and I look forward to coming into school to know what new trips we have. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
So TY for me has been a great experience so far. We've been doing a lot of trips, which gave me a lot of new skills and opportunities. Last time we went to a chocolate factory and learned how chocolate was made. Not long ago, we went to rock climbing, and we got the experience of rock climbing sports, something that maybe other people will look into in the future. And we also do some work experience right now, and I think that gives a lot of opportunities for people in the future, and it just like works on you. And this year just gives opportunity for people to mature if they haven't matured yet, and it's just, I think it's a worthy year to do between during the period, because it's all transitions. They also teach you things. You're not always on trips, but it definitely like helps you, because anything you learn in third year, you learn it again in fourth year. So if you feel like you did bad at maths, you only get it in fourth year, and you don't even think you would bad at it.
Okay, so we're going to move on next to have a look at doing the Leaving Certificate from September 23 to 25. So I'm going to hand over to Mr. Kelly, I think, for these two slides. So he's going to talk about the subjects.
Yeah, thanks very much. Okay, so moving into senior cycle, if you decide, obviously for our for our transition years that are here this evening, you will be considering now this evening whether it's Leaving Cert or Leaving Cert Applied. And for our third year parents, you will be considering whether it's transition year, LCA, or Leaving Cert vocational program. So in terms of our Leaving Cert vocational program, what we're offering is obviously the core subjects: English, Irish, Maths, and Spanish. Optional subjects may include, and it's very important to stress here, may include, because it will depend on the level of interest that our students going into senior cycle have an interest in. So the subjects may be geography, history, business, art, biology, construction, chemistry, physics, accounting, and we're putting an etc. there because we will liaise with our students, because what's going to happen over the next week or so, Miss Ward is going to have, during Careers Week next week, an information session on subjects for the Leaving Cert. And that might encourage the student to say, you know what, I might try a subject that I never thought of trying before. So we will have more consultation on that as we go forward. Then in terms of our finishing part of this, in terms of the grouping of the subjects, obviously we have guidance, and the students will be guided throughout the 2 years of their Leaving Cert. We have physical education, tutorial as normal, SPHE, and we will also look at the links module as part of LCVP. And the links module is looking at preparing for the world of work and exploring what kind of career they want to progress on into once they finish with us in Griffin Community College.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about why we have 7 subjects. So just to go back there for a second, all of the students who choose to carry into the Leaving Certificate, it will be the LCVP that they will do. So the Leaving Certificate Vocational Programme. So they will have their core subjects, the 4 there. They will pick 3 option subjects, and that gives them 7 subjects. But they'll also have the LCVP link module as well. So they'll really kind of have 8, and I'll explain that a little bit more as we go on. The well-being subjects there of guidance and SPHE and so on are not counted as exam subjects for the CAO. So they will have their core and their 3 options and the LCVP. And why we do that is because when a student decides to apply to the CAO or the Central Applications Office to go on to further or higher education, they will base the points on their best 6 subjects. So the 6 subjects that they get the most points in will be added together to create their CAO points. And so we believe, and a lot of schools do it as well around the country, that 7 subjects is good because you kind of have that added buffer there. You have that extra subject just in case. So the 7 subject is like their safety net. It also works really well for the timetable because the timetable is structured on all students studying 7 subjects. So LCVP, like Mr. Kelly said there, is your Leaving Certificate Vocational Programme. So that keyword there really is vocational. It is about getting ready for the world of work. So there will be work experience in there. They will do a lot of career investigation as well. And they may also have the opportunity to set up a mini company and enterprise. That's just some of the things that happen in that link module for LCVP. And at the end of that, a student will be awarded either a distinction, a merit, or a pass. So if they get a distinction, it gives them 66 CAO points. A merit will give them 46 CAO points, and a pass will give them 28. So it's almost like having even 1 layer extra of the safety net there. So they can use LCVP as one of the 6 subjects for CAO if they want to. Just a quick look at our national framework of qualifications. So the NFQ is a structure of levels that's designed to bring clarity to the meaning of each type of qualification and allows qualifications to be compared easily. And in Ireland, we have a framework of 10 levels. So this is what it looks like here. So just really, really briefly, and the website there at the bottom, qqi.ie, is a brilliant website with lots of information and lots of videos that explain how NFQ works. So I'm just going to talk very briefly about it, but the website is great. And if you have any questions, you can email me or send the question in through your student. But very briefly, there's 10 levels on the NFQ. And what's really important to know is that no matter what your son or daughter chooses, whether it's TY, the traditional Leaving, or the LCA, they can, if they wish to, get to level 10. Every single one of us can get to level 10. When they've completed their junior cert, they have a level 3 qualification. And then when they move on to Leaving Cert, if it is the Leaving Cert applied, they will qualify at level 4. If they do the traditional Leaving Cert, they qualify at level 5. If they do the LCA and they want to get to level 10 eventually, the advice would be to go on and do a level 5 PLC course, a post-Leaving Cert course. And post-Leaving Cert courses are also open to those that do the traditional Leaving Cert and have a level 5. They can do another level 5. And then following on from your level 5, you can apply through CAO for your 6, 7, or 8. You can skip straight from 5 up to 8, depending on your points and if you've met the entry requirements. But essentially, everyone can get there. And then if you love study and you love college and you want to keep going, you can go on and look at your level 9 and 10, your masters and your doctorates. So that's just a really, really quick look at that. But like I said, the website has brilliant videos there explaining the NFQ. And just very briefly to say, it was set up so that it could be comparable, so that students, if they decide to ever go to live abroad or to travel and they want to bring their degree with them, they're able to do that in Europe, Australia, America, and they're able to say, well, in Ireland, I'm on NFQ level X, and then that is able to be transferred into whatever qualification system they're using in Europe or the UK or Australia, etc. Just very quickly, a look at the grading system at senior cycle. So for the Leaving Certificate, you know that the higher level papers will be graded as H1, 2, 3, and so on, and the ordinary level papers at O1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And you can see there the percentages and then what the points equate to. I just think it's important to point out that if you're doing a subject at ordinary level and you're coming out with an O1, that's the same as getting a H5 in a higher level paper. And so it's just something to be aware of there. It's 56 points, you know, and I really think if a student is able to get an O1 at ordinary level, they should be considering sticking at the higher level. But levels is something I'll talk about a little bit more to students during College Awareness Week next week. But that's just a quick glance at the points there and the grades. And there is a page on that in the student journal if parents or guardians want to have a look at that. Just briefly on minimum entry requirements. So for any of your students, your son or daughters that are going on to do their Leaving Certificate and they want to apply then through CAO to go on to a level 6, 7, or 8 in college, they just need to be aware of the minimum entry requirements for college. So different universities and colleges will have different entry requirements, but for the most part, most universities will look for 2 H5s and 4 O6s. So it will be important that students, if they want to apply for CAO, they're doing at least 2 higher level subjects and at least 4 at ordinary level. That would be the minimum for most. And then when you look at the faculty or the course that they're applying for, there might be minimum entry requirements there as well. So just one example is pharmacy in Trinity College in Dublin requires a minimum of a H3 in chemistry and a H3 in either physics, biology, maths, geology, geography, applied maths, or ag science. So the college will have its minimum requirement, but then the course or the faculty might also have a minimum requirement as well. And then it looks at points after that. So the CAO then, when a student applies to it and they have on their form all their choices, the CAO computer will check first, do they meet the entry requirements of the college? Then it will check, do they meet the entry requirements of the course or the faculty? And then it will look at points depending on the supply and demand of that course. So if it's a very, very popular course and the demand outweighs the supply, then the points are going to be quite high for it. So the golden rule there is you need minimum entry, faculty entry, and you need to have the points to get onto the course. Now that was really, really fast and there's a lot of information in that, but it is something I talk a lot about in guidance classes in TY, in 5th year and in 6th year. So the students will be very, very familiar with this as time goes on for them. Just want to move on now very quickly to talk about deciding on option subjects. So for any student who is moving on to Leaving Certificate with the LCVP, they're going to be thinking over the next couple of weeks and months about what option subjects they're going to do. And just a little bit for parents and guardians, just to help them. These are just some questions that you might ask them or get them to ask themselves. So, you know, first of all, am I prepared to work hard at this subject? Is it going to help my future career? Is the subject essential or desirable for a possible career? Or is it maybe essential to the course that they're thinking about doing in college? You know, like that Trinity one there for pharmacy, they need to have the H3 in chemistry. And do I like this subject? Am I interested in it? You know, there's nothing worse than being stuck in a classroom where you really don't enjoy the subject. So, you know, at the very basic level, they should be at least interested and like the subject. What are my skills and aptitudes? So is this a subject they've done before maybe, or have a bit of experience with, and do they feel that they're able and they have the skills for it? And then there again, do I need this subject for my college course? So some questions to ask themselves when they're thinking. Some students will often say to us, what are the easy subjects and what are the difficult subjects? And the answer is that there are none. You know, there's no subject out there that's more difficult than others or easier than others. You know, a subject is only easy if it's something that you're good at. And also if it's something that you enjoy, then it feels easy because you want to be there and you want to learn more about it. So there's no easy option here. Not choosing the appropriate subjects will have consequences on your course choice. So that's looking at CAO and looking into the future. You know, so it's really important for them to start doing a bit of research and asking questions and finding out, is there certain subjects I need for the course I think I might like to do? So students really do need to find out the specific requirements needed, you know, so they can set up an appointment with me. But like we said already, I am going to do a presentation next week with the third years and the TYs around subject choice. And if they need more information, they can request an appointment then. And so most importantly, I suppose, for you and your supporting your students in making their choices is to encourage them to choose subjects that they enjoy. If you enjoy the subject, the points will come. You know, I wouldn't be saying to a student to, you know, if the points look very high for them to say, you know, avoid that, you know, go for the thing that you enjoy and the thing that you like. The points will come if it's something you enjoy and you work hard at it. And, you know, worst case scenario, there's always a backup option. There's always another way to get into that course or into that career. It just might take a little bit longer. So I'm going to pass over to Ms. Fitzgerald just to give a couple of tips there from our AEN department.
So I suppose what's really important from this is, I suppose, you know, and I was thinking about this evening, I'm year head to the third and fourth year group, which is actually really lucky because I can kind of support all of you helping this, making these decisions for your sons and daughters, or with your sons and daughters, should I say. But really important, I suppose, to run alongside that is we have Miss Ward obviously in guidance that's helping us along the way and guiding all of us, I suppose, in, you know, like, you know, the strengths of students and I suppose that, you know, giving us all the information that we need here tonight. But kind of running alongside that, we have an AEN department, which is really myself and Mr. Hanlon and Mr. Ward. And we work very tightly together to support students in Griffin Community College. And I suppose we'd see this as a crucial role, I suppose, now, because you're kind of at a crossroads with, you know, sons and daughters, and you might need a little bit of advice, or they might need a little bit of advice. So the big top tip here is, if you're in doubt at all, reach out and ask for a little bit of support. Now, Mr. Hanlon, Anne O'Hanlon's email address across the bottom there. But I think, you know, if in doubt, send an email and seek a little bit of advice. But a few things that you might want to consider outside of that would be, if your son or daughter has an assessment or report of any description from occupational therapists or whoever it might be, consider the recommendations in your report. You know, go back, read them again and see if there's anything there that'll help you, guide you around subject choices or course types. Because there might be, there won't always be, but there might be. And for some parents, they mightn't have read back over those relevant bits in a while that were kind of further along in education. So it's important to revisit, I suppose, those recommendations now, because they're relevant now, whereas they mightn't have been a couple of years ago. Consider strengths and difficulties. like we're all good at something and we all struggle at different things. And I suppose what you want is I suppose the next couple of years to be a really positive experience. So I think it's really important to, by listening to Miss Ward here today, we're looking at course choices at this stage, and we're also looking at course choices and within that subject choices. So looking at strengths and difficulties is definitely key. So for example, there's a point here that if you difficulties around written work or comprehension, stuff like that, you might be like steering away from very text heavy subjects that I suppose require essay type answers to questions, like which would be kind of your history subjects and stuff like that. So, and you know, if you're creative and artistic in any way and looking for practical subjects, less literacy rich subjects, then you might be looking at subjects like your art and I suppose your practical, your woodwork or your construction, it is at senior cycle. Consider fine motor skills, you know, like what is needed for, what is the requirement, I suppose the expectations around what we want from our students in particular subjects. So that's, you know, one to consider as well. But if you're not sure about any of it, I think the best thing is have a little bit of a phone call or an email over and back to Mr. Hanlon or myself, or direct them to me, and I'll seek support from Miss Ward or from Mr. Hanlon if I can't answer your questions. But I think the big thing here is the support is there around the decision-making process, and even no matter what route you go, there will be support for your son or daughter along the way regardless. So that's the big message here this evening. There's an awful lot of information here tonight as well, so I know some of you are going to have questions, so feel free to email me in school as well, and if I can't answer the question, I'll ask Miss Ward as well outside of students with need as well. So thanks a million. Pass you back there.
So like I already said, I am going to have a talk for students next week. So next week is our College and Careers Awareness Week, and there's lots of different talks and events happening there, but part of that is where I will give a senior cycle options talk to all the third years and TYs. So the plan is for it to take place on Tuesday of next week, and they'll be able to ask lots of questions at that. Okay, so that's happening for them next week. So if your son or daughter is thinking of going ahead into the Leaving Certificate along with the LCVP, with the LCVP link module, then just some things that they should be doing next, and I'll be saying this to them next week, but for you guys as well as parents and guardians supporting them, go on and check out college prospectuses and college websites and job descriptions. You know, if they even have a general area that they're thinking of going into, just to have a little browse in those. There is a library of college prospectuses in the Graphene building. The students know where it is. It's on the bottom floor corridor. So they can absolutely take one or two college prospectuses home with them if they want and have a flick through them, if they prefer to have the hard copy, and then just drop it back for the next person to see. But everything will be on the college websites as well. I'm going to be advising them to talk to you guys as well, to talk to family and talk to friends and maybe older brothers and sisters who have already gone through senior cycle, and to talk to teachers as well about their option subjects. Just some relevant websites there that I would recommend the students and parents and guardians to have a look at would be cao.ie. Qualifax.ie is a great website. It's really just a database of all the different courses that are available in Ireland. And there's a search tool there where you can type in whatever the keyword is. You can type in engineering, for example, and it will bring up all the available courses in that area. And then the other one, which is very similar to Qualifax, is Careers Portal. That's also like a massive database of all the different courses available. And what's great about them is when you see the list of all the courses and you click into the course, it will give you lots of detail about that course, what's involved in it, how long it takes to become qualified, the different modules, how students are assessed, the entry requirements. Everything is there on those websites. Now, it can be information overload, but I would definitely recommend spending a little bit of time going through them and doing some research. So I'm just going to pass over to Mr. Kelly just to add a last little bit there about the LCVP.
Okay, last bit about LCVP, then we'll go on to LCA, and then there'll be a kind of a brushing up of everything we've covered so far this evening. So lastly, just remember that education happens outside of the classroom. So it's not just the curriculum that we offer, it's also the null curriculum, such as the sports, the drama, the debating, everything that goes on in Griffin and everything that we offer. To the parents and to our students, don't forget, we are your allies. We are here to support you along this journey. And as Miss Fitzgerald said earlier on, there's a lot of decisions to be made over the next few weeks and months. So don't forget, guys, parents and students who are listening to us tonight, link in with your year heads, link in with your tutors. Talk to me as the principal, talk to Miss Morrow as the deputy principal, our amazing guidance counsellor who's always there to support students, Miss Ward. Subject teachers will give you a huge amount of information, and also you'll get a huge amount of information next week at Careers Awareness Week. But most importantly, the students and the parents link in with each other in terms of course choice and option choice. I just need to stress that tonight we are looking at course choice. Is it transition year? Is it Leaving Cert vocational program? Or is it LCA? So that's the course choice we're looking at. The program choice, sorry, and we'll then start to delve into what options, and that's at a later stage after all the support you're going to get from the guidance department and all of these people we just mentioned. So back over to you, Ms. Ward. Thank you.
Very much. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about our Leaving Certificate Applied program. So I've just noticed a typo there. It should say from September 23 until June 25. So if your third or TY student decides to choose the LCA, this will just give you a little flavour of what they can expect. So in LCA, they will study a range of different subjects. They will have career preparation and guidance. They will have English and communications, mathematical applications. They will then choose 2 specialist subjects. And that's something that we'll look at when we're doing the timetable and when we know the group of students that are deciding that they want to do LCA. There are a range of specialist subjects to choose from. And just some examples there is hotel, catering and tourism, and craft and design. They're just some examples there. Students will also have ICT, or information communication technology. They will do arts. They will have 1 year on each chosen module within the arts program. So within arts, they could be looking at music, drama, dance, or performance. We then have social ed. Languages, then they will do 2 languages over the 2 years of the LCA program. They will do Gaeilge, Irish in 1 year and Spanish in another year. And then they have their leisure and recreation subject as well. Work experience, just like in TY, work experience is a huge part of the LCA program. It's a really important aspect of it. There are 4 work experience placements over the course of the 2 years. So LCA is broken down into 4 sessions, and there's 2 sessions in each year. And within each session, then they do 1 work experience placement. So like with the TYs, the LCAs are out 1 day each week on their work experience day, and that is Wednesdays for our LCA students. So it's a different day. And that's partly because, you know, maybe an employer has been very good and they've taken on an LCA on a Wednesday, and maybe they're taking a TY student on a Thursday. So it just breaks it up a little bit between our groups of students as well. And it also, work experience, just like with the TYs and with the students who will do the LCVP link module, who will be out on work experience as well at times. It just provides them with a real understanding of what it's like to be out there in the real world. You know, to be getting up and going to work and doing a full day's work. But it really does give them, I suppose, a feel for what it's going to be like in what they think might be their chosen career. So just like with all students, with the TYs and the 5th years and the LCAs, I'd be saying to them, look for a placement in an area that you think you want to progress into when you're finished in school, because that's going to help you to really decide and figure out, is that the one for you? And is that the area that you want to go into? Is it what you thought it was going to be? for a lot of our students, they go off and they think it's going to be one way, but then after a couple of weeks, they realize actually there's a lot more to this that I didn't think of. And that can maybe make it better for them, or maybe it can make them decide, you know what, this isn't for me. And then they try something else. So that's why it's great that they have 4 different placements to try over the 2 years. In LCA, they are assessed by continuous assessment, really. 90% attendance and punctuality in each subject is mandatory. So LCA students get credits for being in school. Okay, they have to be in 90% of the time in each of their subjects in order to get the credits for that subject. Within each subject, they need to complete modules, and within each modules, there are key assignments for them to complete. So the key assignments within each module, plus the 90% attendance, gets them over the course of the 2 years, potentially 62 credits. So there's 62 credits available over the 2 years for key assignments within modules with the 90% attendance. Over the 2 years, they will do 7 tasks, and tasks are like big projects that they work on. And each task is worth 10 credits, so 70 credits in total there going for tasks. And they also will sit final examinations in 6 of their subjects over the 2 years. They will do 1 final exam at the end of LCA year 1, and then they do the other 5 final exams at the end of year 2. And those final exams add up to 68 credits. So in total, LCA is worth 200 credits. And when they get their results, then they will either get a pass, merit, or distinction based on the amount of credits that they've earned over the 2 years. So a distinction is 85% or more for 170 credits or more. A merit, 70 to 84% or 140 to 169. And then a pass is 60 to 69%, so a minimum of 120 credits to pass. Just so you're aware, the final exam subjects in LCA are in English, in their 2 specialism subjects, 1 maths exam, 1 in each of their languages that they do, so they're Irish and Spanish, and then 1 in social ed. So they have 6 exams in total. And just briefly about the tasks. The tasks, like I said, are like big projects, I suppose. So students and it's across different subjects over the 2 years, and subjects will join up as well and work together on tasks. It's never just left to one particular teacher or one particular subject. A really big thing in LCA is about linking one subject to another. So with the tasks, they're applying what they're learning to the project that they're carrying out, and they're using a range of their subjects and curriculums in order to produce the project that they want to do. So that might be the development of a product, it might be the investigation of an issue, the provision of a service, or the staging of an event. So just as an example, that our current LCA students at the moment are working on staging an event for their community project or their community task that they're working on at the moment. Last year, they did do a career investigation. So just to give you just 2 examples there of things that they have done. And the tasks, like I said, are run across the different curriculums, and then they are presented to the state examinations examiner through an interview process. So at the end of each task or project, the students have to present themselves for an interview where they're asked questions about their involvement in it. Just some quotes and comments from LCA students about how LCA has helped them. So it taught me about hidden skills and talents I had, and it set me on the right career path. I think it matures you a bit more, and it really prepares you for when you leave school. You also get to learn more about yourself and what you're capable of doing. I really loved the 4 sessions of work experience. It was my foundation and helped me become what I am today. I just feel with LCA, you get better one-on-one teaching. And then just some reasons to why our current students have chosen to do the LCA course. I wanted to do LCA because it was a more active course and was very different from the traditional Leaving Cert. I felt that there were more opportunities in LCA for me, and I liked the idea of continual assessment. So, you know, we were saying that over the 2 years, they're continuously being assessed for their attendance, for their modules, for their key assignments, for their tasks. It doesn't all really rest on the final exams at the end of the year. So it's more continuous assessment. What I liked about it was the fact that you got credits as you went along, and I liked doing the tasks and the assignments. I love the idea of doing projects and assignments in LCA, so that's why I chose to do it. I decided to do LCA because I felt it would help me. I can't read that, I'm sorry, it's blocking a bit on my screen. I hope you can see it. And then this one, I had heard that LCA was mainly based on continuous assessment. That was very appealing to me. I chose to do LCA because I enjoyed doing project work and independent research. So that's just to give you a flavour of why the students felt LCA was for them. Just going to show you a very short video from one of our current LCA students about how he has found the experience so far.
LCA has opened up new opportunities for me with work experience and planning events for the school. It's helped me develop more as a person. I notice myself working harder than I normally do and being more open with other students. From doing LCA, it gave me the proper motivation to work hard and succeed in not just only school, but in life as well. I chose LCA over traditional Leaving Cert is that LCA would help me understand certain aspects of life more than normal Leaving Cert, and the work experience is a good plus alongside LCA.
Okay, so I'm going to hand back to Mr. Kelly now just to explain to you about the preference form.
Okay, I don't know why my hand went up there, so I don't know what that's about. Okay, so thanks very much. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. all parents, third year and fourth year, will receive a link to a Microsoft form. That's a preference form for a program. So in other words, if you're a third year parent here tonight, you have a choice of whether you're going to go down the Leaving Cert vocational program route, the LCA route, or the transition year route. So that's for a third year parent here this evening. And for our fourth year parents, you have two choices, whether that's going to be LCVP or LCA. This form will be released tomorrow, and it must be complete by next Friday, the 2nd of December. Just something that parents need to bear in mind, there's a lot of students in third year who want to do transition year. We have 60 spaces in transition year next year. And if too many, as in if 65 want to do it, we're going to have to operate some sort of a random lottery draw. But if that happens, we will notify parents well in advance of that happening, okay? The form will give you the option to put in questions based on tonight. And with those questions, we'll put together a frequently asked question document and send that out to the parents. So just very briefly, you've three choices: Leaving Cert, vocational program, transition year, or TY. That's the choices. And then in early January, we'll link with all of the parents who selected the various programs to consult with you in terms of option choice. And I think it's going to be very good over the next week or so in terms of Careers Awareness Week to give the students an introduction into the types of subjects that would be available at senior cycle. So therefore, that's why we're not asking students to pick subjects at this stage, because they need to be more informed and educated in relation to what's ahead and what they can select. I'd like to thank Miss Ahern for this evening, also Miss Ward, and to Miss Morrow for all the work that went into this. I'm sorry, my throat is about to go. I didn't realise it was so sore, but it's getting sore as the night goes on. This video will be made available on our website from tomorrow. Don't forget, you have until the 2nd of December to get the preference form back to us, and it's all through digital means, so it's all through that link, okay? So anybody else from our staff want to say anything? I'm gonna stop now.
I think that's everything, Mr. Kelly. Thank you. Just thank you to all of the parents, guardians and students listening in tonight. I hope it was informative, and please do not hesitate to contact any of us. Just send an email if you have any questions. or get your son or daughter, get the students themselves to just come up to me to ask me during the talk next week, or to request an appointment with either myself or any of us if they want to have a chat, if they need that bit of extra support. There is no question too small. So whatever they need, we're here to support them and help them through this journey. It's quite daunting, I think, for students to do, but we're going to do it slowly over the coming weeks and months. So they do have time to do their research. So just breathe. And if you need anything, you know where we are. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah. Thanks a million, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good
Thanks,
night.
everyone. Good night.
Bye, everybody.